Hello and welcome to Speak Easy. We have a really special guest today, Anusha Rizvi, who's directed this great film, The Great Shamsuddin Family.
We have a family crisis.
क्राइसिस
क्या? Oh my god.
अल्लाह क्या होगा हमारे खानदान का?
I will make the deadline. All is good. Iram? Oh, मेरा आपा. Sohib? Assalamu alaikum, Safiya Khala.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
I've watched it twice in the last couple of weeks. And the second time I watched, I figured out there are so many nuances that I had missed in my previous watch. So, without further ado, let me introduce Anusha, who's not just made The Great Shamsuddin Family, but she made a much celebrated film called Peoply Live, which I think many of us in the media really understood well because we have been in this business. So, welcome to Speak Easy.
Thank you so much, Amit. Thank you.
So, Anusha, tell us, so what's behind the film? What provoked you to make the film? Is it personal?
Of course, I mean, at some level, it's very personal, and also because it's very like you spoke about Peoply Live, which was so such an external gaze because it was coming from me into a world which I was not part of. This is much more internal, but I wouldn't say that it is, an autobiographical work in any way, or is it that I'm creating characters from real life situations? I think I'm trying to explore a few things largely. So one of the things I wanted to explore was how are women professionals who are working out of home, what is their, what kind of a work process do they get, and what happens, their distractions, people calling, a whole lot of that they have.
The doorbell ringing.
The doorbell constantly. That doorbell is it's very, I think for a lot of women professionals, doorbell means something.
Yeah.
So I wanted to explore that, but I also wanted to explore Delhi, of a certain kind of Delhi, which we normally don't end up seeing. We see a lot of Delhi in cinema, and these days especially, but it's a particular kind of Delhi. This Delhi I wanted to also explore from a person who was born and brought up. I've studied there. My life is here. So from my point of view as to how I see it and how my family sees that Delhi, a bit of that. And also, of course, a bit of the kind of representation that we have of communities in cinema, to see how much of that can be broken, and also exploring it with the audiences, because this exploration, none of this can happen individually at the level of the filmmaker. It has to come once you've made it, then that exploration involves the audience and how they're reading, how they are, are they able to understand it? Are they able to sympathize with the characters? So that
So one of the themes that, which is very clear, and you see it with Bani, when she's referring to, first she sees on her mobile phone, that some writer or somebody, the headline of somebody being arrested. So that's when you first realize in the film that this is something more, at least I did, something more than, because it starts off on a very light, lovely note. And there are those elements right through the film, which, you very successfully created. But when you bring in that serious element, and there are, of course, more as you go on, what is the exploration about here? I mean, you talked about women professionals working. I mean, what if this had been a Hindu family? I mean, how would you as a filmmaker have treated it,
I think I would have treated it pretty much the same, because you see, the characters are the ones whose life we are discussing, and it is what is situations that are happening to them, or where they are finding themselves on a particular day. So it doesn't matter whether Bani is a Muslim or not.
Yeah.
In this particular situation, whereby she's also a writer, and there is a certain restraint she feels in expressing herself freely, because she does feel that, what if I write something which is not palatable to someone? Then what happens? And
Do you also feel that? Do you also feel that as a writer? Because you're not just
I
a
think that
director.
all of us do, don't we? I mean, we have seen in the past that very small things can be can be made into things which can become very explosive. Things can be debated, things can be discussed, but when they immediately reach a level of explosion, that's when, you tend to become a bit wary about these things. So I think that would probably be true for all artists right now.
Yeah,
Mm.
irrespective of their religion or their background, or,
I think
but
so.
perhaps more if, say, you happen to be a Muslim. I mean, you suppose you have to. I mean, perhaps I don't know. I don't know whether that's your experience as well, personally.
I can't judge whether my sense of the situation is not comparable to that of my counterparts in another community. So I can't say that, but yes, I can only say that I do feel a sense of restraint. What all you can say, what all you should not say. That thing is there, and so for instance, so when I was making People Live, that this sense that I should not say this was not there. And
And that was
it
15
went.
years ago when you made People Live.
Yes.
So India has also changed in those 15 years.
I think so. Of
Yeah.
course, it has. I mean, also we have become a little less. We become very explosive about suddenly, about small things, about small matters that can just really be discussed and figured out or sorted, or just be discussed. They can be varied opinion on something.
Of course.
So we can also just remain with this without a resolution, a varied opinion thing.
Because your film is actually quite multi-layered. It talks about the fear of Bani. It talks of course, it shows you so many vulnerabilities. Nothing happens in the film. Everything is quite well managed, I would say. But the underlying kind of theme of fear is, of course, definitely there. The thing that also interests me is that, how you delved into the characters and how you showed the family. Would you say that this family support is like quite crucial and critical at a time of great change? I mean, you really re-emphasize the family. I mean, it's a funny family, and you also shown, the Muslim not to be, somebody's looking for a drink, they come to Bani's place, yeah. So, and she's also poking fun at, you also poke fun at Pakistani clothes, and you also, refer to the fact that they may not be as namazi as they're projecting themselves. So you are making fun, or you're, bringing to notice that nobody is monochromatic and there is no one Muslim in this country.
That's absolutely true, Amit, because for one, there is no such thing as one Muslimness in this country, because we are such a large country, and there are Muslims in Tamil Nadu who have absolutely nothing to do with Muslims in Kashmir, or cultural this thing with Muslims in UP or Assam or Rajasthan. So each of these sections bring their own culture or their own identity of being a Muslim. There is no one definition that can be expanded over pan India. Now, when one is discussing, how are we not discussing that diversity, and how are we? Okay, so I'll tell you something which is really interesting. Also, it's fun. It's a bit absurd, also, but funny also. So when I was looking for a production designer for this film, I was interviewing a lot of people.
By the way, the film is shot all in Nizamuddin, or is it shot?
Not at all in Nizamuddin.
So then how do we get that view of...
we just shot one skyline. In fact, we shot only one day in Nizamuddin on Sanjay Igre's. He was very kind to give us his terrace.
Right.
We shot on that terrace.
Right. Sorry.
The rest of the film is in Chhatarpur.
Sorry. Oh, it's in Chhatarpur. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's very important for someone like me in Delhi to know that,
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. And the idea was actually... The idea, I have to say, to show the Humayun's tomb was not to show that the person is living in Nizamuddin, and that was not the class I was trying to reflect. But I did want to reflect a certain an act of witnessing, which I felt that I can get from this monument, not its history, its whatever, but also its presence in Delhi as the city, as our city, what Humayun's tomb means to us. So I wanted to use that image.
Sorry,
Your-
I sidetracked you. Who you were
So
saying?
I was there. I was saying that when I was looking for a production designer for this film, I interviewed many people, and invariably, it really surprised me that so many of them came back to me and they said, "Oh yeah, a Muslim household. Really, I've done it before. I'll do the walls green, and I'll do this, and I'll do this, and there'll be tiles here." And I kept thinking, like, after like the fourth guy who came up to me and said, "Yeah, I know exactly green walls." So when have you ever seen a greenhouse? Like, I personally have not. Maybe there are greenhouses. No objection to that at all. I, in fact, can probably be very pleasing.
Very good. We agree. Yeah. Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
Why is it that the moment I say it's a Muslim household, does it immediately get this reaction? Oh, okay, it's green from inside. I doubt very much if
Maybe-
I've seen houses which are
But
totally.
maybe they haven't gone inside a Muslim's house, actually, those people you interviewed.
Well, they are professionals. They have been creating houses for
Yeah. Okay.
the audience to consume.
Yeah.
So they are creating.
No, that
certain
house that you
culture.
show could be anybody's house. I mean, Bani's house could be just anybody's
Anyone's house.
Anybody reasonably well heeled to live, in South
Yes.
Delhi, but it could be anybody's house, cross community.
No, it is, but it is also very specifically Bani's house because there's so many books. She's a writer. The house is not simple. Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the readings of the film.
And there's no salt. And there's nothing to eat.
But then there is so much else in the house that is. So there is the layer of the film and what the people are and what the situations are. But then there is also the house where there are certain kinds of paintings and there are certain kind of books and there are certain kind of sculptures. So that is also a reading. But then I leave that for the audience to read.
Yes.
However, if I was to go with a production designer who was very certain of creating a greenhouse for a Muslim family, I would be forcing my audience to also read that house because, and I suppose because people don't really think about it very much कि अच्छा Muslim household है तो green ही होगा. ये it's there. So clearly, like if you were to, in the industry, if people are creating Muslim households, they are doing so with this very firm belief that सारे घर घरे होते रहो.
और वो हवेली type होते हैं पूरा. I mean, a lot of them.
Maybe they are not so haveli, like
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so small, but they will still be green in color. And so point being that
So then
realization
finally-
came to me very surprisingly that there is this image which is already the people, professionals, artists who are going to be creating this stuff also have this image that any Muslim household, no matter where you go, will be green in color. So, just to even get them to say कि नहीं भाई, please do not do green walls, right? Please do whatever, was a bit of a step up for them to understand that, okay, houses can be different.
And also, one thing which struck me while watching the film is that men play a very small role, And though, of course, I must say that your Amitabh is a nice character, he comes across really well. But they play a very bit role, like Tausif appears in the scene and there's a reference to, fathers and so on. But they play a very bit role. So is it that you're trying to show that Indian Muslim women are fully empowered? Because finally the crisis is managed, or multiple crises are managed by the women, and they seem to have an acceptance finally even of a cross religion marriage and so on and so forth. So was this your sort of sense, did you want to project the power that you've seen of Muslim women?
I wouldn't see, for one, I cannot by any stretch say that I'm in any way representing the wide community or anyone for that, even just women. I cannot. I'm only just trying to tell a story about this particular family and these characters. That these characters exist, yes, they do. That these women exist, yes, very much they do. And you have to work with that because these kind of women exist in every community, I feel. It's not only in Muslim communities. The thing is that the only gaze that I'm sort of turning around a little bit here is that every time we think of Muslim women, we either think of them as suppressed, victimized. Muslim women don't even have the little bit of more agency like the Muslim man who's evil, who's like evil, total, okay? And that evil is falling upon this victim, suppressed, repressed, victimized. So no fault, but has to be rescued. That is perhaps the case for some, not the generalized case in the community, is all I can say.
No, I mean,
I'm not representing, I have to say that I cannot represent anyone. So I'm just only representing my story and my characters.
So in 24 hours, I presume lots happens in every individual's life. You're happy, you're sad, you're depressed, you're. So I guess that's what you're trying to show, that, in 24 hours, somebody's coming to pick up a passport, somebody's doing this. So there are many facets of one's life
they're regular people. And what happens in a regular Indian, family, where a whole lot of your family is also living close by. Say if this was not Delhi, say it was a smaller town, जहाँ पे ऐसे रहते हैं लोग, where a lot of the households are very close by and you visit each other very often. This also is true for many families who live in Delhi, and that's the interaction. This is how every day plays out, right?
So one of the things, in the film is Bani, not completing her application. That's running through the film as the doorbell rings and, the mobile rings with, Papa calling, Mummy calling, all those alarm bells, because that's not just the doorbell, it's the alarm bells that go off. So as she's like going through this whole process, you also feel that, like something might happen. It doesn't happen, but it's just the fear of something happening. Is that today more important than, because we are seeing a lot of things happening to other people through social media, especially, so it's not necessary that it should actually happen to create the kind of fear that exists in many minds. And this is nothing to do with religion. It can affect anybody and everybody, because the kind of violence that we see on our streets is quite incredible. So this kind of fear, do you think that it is now something which is quite ingrained in us, or how do you see it? I don't know.
See, it's very interesting, because that's the thing. Now, as a storyteller, I have told you a story. How has the audience read it? Do they see fear in this? Because I'm not underlining it. I'm saying
it's there. Yeah. It's like
How
a slice of life. Yeah.
How much of it is the audience reading? Now, if the audience is reading fear, then is it that the audience is feeling the fear? It is something to look at. So for me, that film is also how the audience is going to read it. Each audience member is going to read the film differently, right? So are they reading it with fear? And if they are, then it means that it exists.
I read it with fear. I mean, when I watched it exists.
Right? It exists for you.
It exists. So, yeah. That fear is there, because today what you write, what you say, it can be misconstrued. It can be taken out of context. You may use your image to say something which you just not said. I mean, anything can happen in these days. So yeah, that fear is very much there.
And also, it's never it's not about the event, because if something like an incident or an event or a horrific something happens, then that has happened. It has happened to a person. But for the rest, it is the fear of that incident happening to them which they live with over a prolonged period of time. That fear is the one which then erodes into several other things.
Right. So Bani, that application bit I was talking about. So, one of the films that I saw a child which made a huge impression on me was Garm Hawa,
Yes.
And, that final scene, which I will never forget, of Balraj Sahni getting off from the Tanga and joining that procession, with his son Farooq Sheikh up ahead, and there's lines of Kaifi Azmi coming, if I remember them right. मिल जाओगे धारा में तो बन जाओगे धारा, ये वक्त का ऐलान वहाँ भी है यहाँ भी है. And then I saw Mulk recently because my friend said before I spoke to you, I should see that film. So I saw that. So this notion of moving away or going somewhere else to be maybe less fearful. So it's there in your film as well, because Bani is talking about going. And then, of course, Humaira is very upset that Bani hasn't told her. And you also make that reference कि इनको कहाँ लेके जाओगी, ये सारी जो तुम्हारी मासियाँ और खालाएं हैं, इनको कहाँ लेके जाओगी. So, and at one time in the film, Humaira just tell her, you please complete the application, because I think that Tawseef's thing is uppermost. So there are these contradictions, which you can see. And I think that's normal to have these contradictions. So did this sort of thing of moving away, migrating, which, Rishi Kapoor also, tells his son that in Mulk that, we are not going anywhere. Ye hamara mulk hai. Is that notion, what are you trying to say through that film?
So,
Sorry for the long question.
No, not at all. It's, एक तो, so I may be wrong, but Garam Hawa का भी तो end change हुआ ना, end of the day. सेंसर में जब गई फिल्म, उसके बाद फिर सेंसर ने अपना पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू रखा, तो वो बदला गया. मुल्क मैंने देखी है, बहुत अच्छी फिल्म है.
Right.
मैं don't, I mean,
No, I'm not.
praising me.
No, I'm not sort of. No, I'm not trying
When
to
you
say. Yeah.
ask me a
Yeah.
question where
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
spoken about these two
Yeah.
great films,
Yeah.
then मुझे
No.
वो because then I get stuck in.
No, it's a theme. No, I'm just talking about the theme. I'm not, forget about who's made it or what your film is as good as any of the others. So I'm just saying that, is that your sense? Because is that, so let me rephrase it, that is it something for protection that you move away? Is that,
Yes, of course. And also, you in the hope. So, okay. So the ghazal at the end of the film, actually, it is, and it comes briefly at the beginning, but in the part of the film, koi diwar to hogi, and then the whole thing comes at the end. It's very, I think, telling of what the film is trying to say is that you're not thinking of these options because it will provide you, it's not ambition. This is not going to give you a better life. It's just koi shajar to hoga, matlab any tree to, stand under. It's that sense. Now, if with that sense, when Bani is approaching this situation, Humaira is also reminding her that for how many is that sense even possible? Because your privilege, where you're sitting here and say, I can do this. How many others can do it? And then is that then a solution for anything at all? Because what you're running away from is not going to end by your running away, nor will you be able to escape the echoes of that by running away, because so many others cannot.
yes.
So it's that.
Yes, that, yeah. So, the other thing which, of course, struck me is that your character Amitav, he also says at some point that, the rest of the world is also, I mean, if I remember right, the rest of the world is also not as, he tells Bani, that. So is that something also which, because, moving away, I mean, say to the United States, just look at the number of H-1B characters who are here, waiting for months for an interview, and this cross community. So, looking at an option abroad today is not easy even for the well-heeled.
No, it's not. But I mean, this is a very different, I think, conversation from, say, so Bani is a person and Amitav are a person that the age group that they are at, they have never attempted in the past to move out. They have made a life here in this country. They are very much, so this, when Bani is making that decision, it is coming as a surprise to Humaira. It is not something that she is expecting at all from her.
Yeah.
Similarly, for Amitav, it is something that he can argue against because, what happened? I mean, it's not like you were a grad student, you decided to go to university abroad or, do your PhD or whatever, stay back there. it is a very conscious decision for Bani to not go that route. And yet now today she stands here contemplating or, trying to figure out what to do next. So that the journey of I feel that there is a difference between her journey and her, even this thought, even if it comes briefly to her, is very different from a thought, say, of anyone else or any other age group kind of looking at the US as something to, for ambition, for your, better future, better job prospects. This is not her thought process. She's not going for a better life.
Yeah. She's just
And
going
also
to,
Amitabh is what he's pointing out to her is that, and which something she understands as well, is that how are you, fine, you go somewhere, maybe to the US, maybe wherever in the world, you can go to Iceland.
Yeah.
But the echoes of what is going to be happening here, you're never going to escape that, because are you not going to be in touch? Are you not going to be communicating with anyone? Is no news not going to reach you? How are you going to isolate yourself completely from everything? So then,
and the other thing which strikes one in the film, of course, is Zohaib and Pallavi's romance, And I like that line, by the way, about "Main zahar aap kha lijiye." That I think that you have really nailed that blackmail, because this is typical Indian middle class. I've seen it a lot, So, I mean, my parents had a mixed marriage, back in 1958. And, they didn't have it easy, but sort of settled down after a while. And now when I think back myself, I sometimes feel that it was easier for them, because we had gone through partition and there was a sense that secular values should underline the new Indian Republic. I think they probably had it easier. And I also remember once, somebody came, wanted to, Filmfare magazine was doing, a photo feature or interviews on, cross-religion couples. And my father refused to do the interviews. So I said, why are you refusing to do this interview? You should do it. So he said, no, I want this to be the norm and not the exception. I don't want to point out the exception. Okay. So now that's one way of looking at it. I don't know whether he was right or wrong or whatever. But today it seems, and from the anecdotal evidence and what I read, is far more difficult, because the mob is not far away, as, your film really points out. So amongst your friends and people you interact with, is it more difficult today to, because I don't have a sense, because for me it's,
there are a lot of people, who have married, out of choice and they've chosen all kinds of partners, So, I don't know. I can't say how difficult it was in the past and whether it's become easier or it's become more difficult. But certainly, yeah, there is this. There is a bit of a problem, especially I think if you're not living in a metro city, if you're not into a big, like you're a Bombay person or a Calcutta or a Delhi person or Bangalore. If you're living in a smaller town, I don't know how difficult it is to, say, approach a court, even, or to put your application in a month's time.
People are watching there.
People are watching, right? Like, and so small towns are generally,
and they've been watching for a while. To be fair, they've been watching for a while. Yeah,
and also the information travels pretty quickly. So I feel I would like to know how these couples are faring and how, when they are approaching the law, the judicial system, how are they being, received there?
Yeah. So, and the one other thing which, of course, struck me is, that mob not being far away. This is, in a sense, a new sensibility for many people. Earlier, the mob was a little far away. Now it's like top of the mind consciousness. What you write, what you say, you're really watching. And, in these days of
anything like road rage, traffic, anything.
And you may become a victim, willy-nilly because of other things as well. Your, perceived identities, all those things. Definitely. So, so what I asked you in the beginning about the provocation, I want to return to that. So what made you make this film?
No, I don't know. I mean, I can't say. There are stories that come to you to any writer or a filmmaker, and then you're, you hope that you will find the money to make them, because obviously stories that are stuck with you are stories that speak to you, they are important to you, or they have some space in your heart that they have occupied and they are not leaving. So you just keep hoping कि कभी ना कभी पैसे मिल जाएंगे and we'll be able to make it. And when I did get the chance to make this film, I just took it immediately because it was written a while ago. It was not written now recently. And I think it was written with, I wanted to talk about these characters because I find these women fascinating. I think they're amazing, they're lovable, they are so opinionated, they are so, full of themselves, and
their language.
terror.
You miss the language, it's so beautiful. The
Yeah.
Urdu and the Hindustani, it's so beautiful.
And they're so sure of themselves, they
Yeah.
are so sure of themselves. So I really wanted to see these women and show it also to our audience.
Yeah.
That, look at these women, they also exist. So this whole idea about Muslim women being a certain kind of women, that's not exactly right. There is this other, that I think that was my main.
So when I was, reading up on you before we met today, you were working on a documentary on Sidhu Moosewala,
That's right.
and you spent quite a long time doing it. Can you tell us what's the fate of that? Are we going to see it anytime
I
soon?
really hope so. It's
Well, you started off as a feature film maybe, and then you moved to a documentary, is that? Yeah.
No. I was always very clear that there is the kind of material that we have on Sidhu Moosewala and the kind of material that is being generated no fiction can do justice to it. It has to be used, like the real footage has to.
Yeah.
We need to see it even to believe that this is actually reality.
Yeah.
So koi fiction I don't think can do justice to it. I will never going to attempt fiction on that. I'm going to only attempt a documentary because I think that what reality is, you can't match it. And that reality of Sidhu's rise, and of course then what happened to him, and then it opens out it opens out the whole of Punjab, what's happening there right now, what's been going on for a while. But I wanted to see through Sidhu, and I think that we reached a certain point, but then there are so many, contours to this story, and also it's a bit complicated with many things going on. So I think maybe it needs a little bit more time to settle down. And
But you have the resources to make it. Is that?
I don't. I wish somebody would come forward and say, okay, fine, it's 70% of it is done, with about 30 to 40% we'll still need to put it together. So if somebody is interested, please to come forward.
I hope people are listening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think Sidhu's story is, as a story, it's fascinating. It's a story of an artist, an amazing artist, and that is very fascinating to me. But it is also a story of the country. It's story of Punjab, which is very important.
So taking off from that, I mean, you've now been an independent filmmaker for close to 2 decades. Would that be correct? Less. Less. Okay, less. So what are your challenges? I mean, as someone who doesn't know about this, so what are the challenges? How do you work? I mean, is it that, money is easy, money comes easily, and, filmmakers are very rich, and, how does it work?
Yeah, okay. No, so I was listening to, I'm forgetting the name of the filmmaker. His daughter was talking about this. So it's really famous. I think, was it Fellini's daughter? I may be mistaken on this. But she was describing dinner scenes in her father's house, where all these big filmmakers used to come together to have dinner on Sunday or something. And the only conversation that they used to have over the entire dinner was, where are they going to get funding for their next film? So that was and I think that is true for all of us also here.
So that's on the dinner menu.
It's the only conversation. Where are you going to get the money from? So if somebody was to ask me today, so what do? I say I raise money. I try and raise money for my projects. If I get money, then I become a filmmaker for a brief period. Again, back to raising money. So I'm now back to raising money.
So it's a tough job.
It's
I
a
mean, what-
24/7
But one
staff
would have
job.
thought with all these OTT platforms and all, it would be easier. I mean, I thought that, so many people would be willing to.
So OTT platform is definitely a great, new addition to this, but also that there are that many more stories to be told. So you're always struggling to, get it past the people who are sitting there and who are going to decide finally, okay, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? It's a hustle and you have to do it all the time.
So, are you good at it? Are you good at it?
Clearly not. Clearly not. That's why it's taken me 8 years to make this.
So, one question, I mean, to return to the film, which, really intrigued me, and you seem to have really cracked it, and that is the role of the doctor in an Indian middle class or upper middle class family. Because things become easy for Pallavi, when Akko realizes she's a doctor, and, it sort of proceeds reasonably smoothly from there. So what gave you this insight? I'm very puzzled.
I don't think it. I mean, I'm part of a family which requires doctor. In fact, a whole lot of my family is doctors, so I know the importance of doctors in any middle
So
class.
you don't have to go
family.
outside the pale of your family for medical opinion. Is that right?
Yeah, mostly not. Mostly not. But then also it brings its own other issues, hopes. But I think the doctors are very important. In all our lives, doctors are extremely important. In fact, if you notice that when Farida Jalal finds out that she's a doctor, she's objecting to the fact that a doctor is getting married to a person who is not equivalent to her in
He's
terms
calling her,
yeah.
she calls Zoe but Duffer.
Duffer.
Yeah, he's Duffer se
Because
shaadi
he's not a doctor. So, therefore, clearly, I think Indian middle class, probably all of India, has great.
I think there's an obsession with, you don't have the same obsession with, say, lawyers, or you might have with IAS officers or engineers, I don't know.
doctors.
But doctors is like
Yeah.
special, is special. So, Anusha Rizvi, thank you so much for talking to Speak
Thank you
Easy.
so much.
It's such a delightful film that you made, and I hope you get a lot of money to make other films.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. That
Yeah.
definitely required.
Yeah. Because as you said, you have two professions. One is to make films, and
My primary profession is to look for money. Secondary profession is to tell stories.
well, all the best for both.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.